Yeah. Good, long enough time, good planning.
Yeah. Are you enjoying revitalizing the language, or is it just so much more?
Yeah, I'm enjoying it.
Yeah.
friends. It's so wonderful to see you all. I'm Reverend Nika Eaton, and my pronouns are she, her, and hers. And I extend a warm welcome this morning on this beautiful day to our loving Chalice community, where hope, interdependence, and love guide our way. We're so grateful that you've joined us here this morning, both in person and online, to share in fellowship and sacred time. I'll say a quick hello to my mother, who's zooming in from England. Hi, Mother. So if you're new here with us today, we extend a special warm welcome, and we'd love for you to join us in Fellowship Hall for refreshments after the service. Good morning.
Good morning. My name is Shane Niebergall, and I'm very pleased to serve as your worship associate today. My pronouns are he, him. We at Chalice believe in the inherent dignity and worth of all people. Our doors are open to everyone, regardless of what you look like, what you believe, or whom you love. Whether you sing hymns loudly, slightly off key, or prefer to hum along quietly, you are welcome here. If you are brimming with questions or overflowing with faith, you are welcome here. If today is just one of many visits, or perhaps your first, know this: welcome. For those in person, please silence your cell phones. And if you're virtual, we invite you to turn on your cameras so we can see your beautiful faces if you feel comfortable. We're so glad to share this time and journey with you today.
So each week, my friends, we meet with gratitude on this land, and Chalice recognizes and acknowledges the first people of this ancestral and unceded territory, the Chumash, who've been here for over 13,000 years. We pay respect to their elders and their descendants, past and present, and recognize that the Chumash are still here among us and remain stewards, caretakers, and advocates of these lands, river systems, and ocean waters. And today we explore our monthly theme of interdependence through the lens of the teaching of the Chumash people, as brought to us by Chumash leader Matthew Vestuto. One of our members, Greg Raver-Lampin, made the initial connection with Matthew, so I'd like to invite Greg up to come up and introduce Matthew now.
My name is Greg Raver-Lampin. My pronouns are he, his, and him. And we came here from Virginia. And my first deep interest in the Chumash culture was when I was hiking in the mountains, just right over there between the church, the Santa Monica Mountains, and I came across a cave that had Chumash cave paintings in it. And I wanted to find out if anybody had documented that, if anybody knew about it. And I got in touch with somebody who said there were 7 or 8 just in those hills there, cave paintings. But they didn't want to say where they were because they were afraid they would be desecrated. And that got me starting to think about language. I'm a linguist, and started thinking about language revitalization, and if we could help with language revitalization. And that's where I came across Matthew. Matthew is the chairman of the Barbareño, Ventureño Band of Mission Indians. He's also the president of the Lulapin Foundation, and he's a Chumash scholar primarily focused on Chumash language, the Ventureño dialect of the Chumash language. He's a recipient of the prestigious Luce Indigenous Knowledge Fellowship. And let's all welcome Matthew up here, and to say it in Chumash, Haku, Matthew.
Tapi washa chishnachit chwasha cheshi ishal. Good morning. It's a beautiful day, and I'd like to lead in with some Chumash oratory, which is to bring in. Well, I'll translate it afterward. Takshayaniyo, kai kika, lokash tas ho kakunub mawa. Atapliish gashnuna gishtapli he'awotoko. Ha. Minawan, kashmaktu shi ishal kashuk shtahai hemiwalach. Ushumushiyu, Ushumushiyu, Kai Kika Yala'a, Loka Ki Ali Kike, Hesuwaksa Hutash, Loka Shokshposhina Shi Hutash, Anyala'a Kakiposh, Unta. And essentially, this is a hearkening to the world, to all the directions. We're saying, have pity on us, you who rise in the east and lights the day from south to north and sets in the west. And then have pity on us, Hutash, which is Mother Earth, and whose umbilical cord, or Shokshposhinash, is a staff that we usually have, which signifies the umbilical cord that is the center of the world, that links all other worlds together. And for the moment we're all together, we are bound, and we are all trained on this and held united to this center of the world. Thank you.
Beautiful. Thank you. Shane.
And now we will light our chalice, which is our Unitarian Universalist symbol of the light within all of us, the interdependence we seek, the justice we strive for, and the love we share. If you have one at home, I invite you to light one too. And today I invite Matt Chapa to come up and light our chalice as I share words by Reverend Scott Taylor called Our House of Many Stories. We gather as a house of stories, many stories woven fine. As we listen to the tales of those who have gone before, the way in front of us becomes more clear. As we make space for voices long silenced, all of us become more free. As we hear the accounts of those who made it through the dark, courage reigns on each and every one. These stories, my friends, I need yours, as you need mine. It is how we become whole. Yes, we gather as a house of many stories. Come, let us listen once again. So we light this chalice to remember our interdependence.
And we also now light our earth chalice to remember our connection to the earth and to all living things. And if you were here last week, you will remember that the earth chalice was built by our children to invite us to commit to caring for the sustainability of our planet and our children's future. And thank you, kids who are here this week who helped recreate our earth chalice for us last week. And finally, we light our chalice for peace and justice. With all the war and terrible things going on around the world, we light this flame for an end to violence, war, racial injustice, and oppression of all kinds. My friends, may we together live in a world where peace, justice, and equity are available to all. And now, please rise in body of spirit to join us to sing our opening hymn. We are. For each child that's born, a morning star rises and sings to the universe who we are. For each child that's born, a morning star rises and sings to the universe who we are. We are our grandmother's prayers, and we are our grandfather's dreamings. We are the breath of our ancestors. We are the Spirit of God. We are mothers of courage and fathers of time. We are daughters of doubts and the sons of great visions. We are sisters of mercy and mothers of love. I'd now like to invite Matthew to come and tell our children a little bit about your tradition. Children, you want to listen to Matthew. He's got some very interesting things to teach us.
Good morning. Good morning. Well, trying to think of what I'd have to tell you. It's pretty simple. Yeah, well, it's kind of a story. It's our fundamental story is that in our religion and our belief, the earth is our mother and the sun is a father. And they're who give us and nurture our lives here in this world. And our way of seeing the world is that we're in this middle world. It's a big flat circle. And there's a lower world and there's an upper world. And the upper world is held up by the golden eagle slope. And it's with the movement of his wings that gives you the phases of the moon. You know how they're, you know how, hello? You know how the moon has its phases, how it's full and then it's a quarter and then it's a crescent? That's caused by the movement of the golden eagle's wings. And this world here is held up by two giant serpents that sometimes show up in the ocean out here. And it's in this, and this whole world is held together by an umbilical cord. And we call that the three worlds. Some people think there are 5 worlds, and that's okay because how can anyone truly know? So we're supportive of philosophy and wondering, which is, I think is the most important thing. And I have to draw on some notes here. But there is another figure that's very important to us that's Coyote. And we call him Shapashiwash. And he is like a favorite uncle. And he teaches us what to do and what not to do. More often than not, he teaches us what not to do by doing it. He's mischievous, but he also has superpowers. And he's always looking after us, and he's always on our side. So he's a favorite of ours. And I wanted to also share our main job in this world is like the birds. You see the birds every day. What are they doing? They're just going around eating, right? And that is our job, is to gather the fruits of the earth. That's our main job. And food is central to almost all religions around the world. Everybody experiences the world in the form of a year. And everyone has different ways of talking about how they experience that year. And that's why we have, God's creation is so diverse in how we talk about these things. So what I'm sharing with you is how we see it here originally and still today. And so in gathering the fruits of the earth, we sustain our life, and that's our main job in this world. And coloring books, of course, that's super important also. And so when I was a child, my mother, I wanted my mom to take me to see God. And I said, I want to see him. And so she stopped at a church not far from here in the San Fernando Valley. And we went in there, and there was big drapes. And I sat there, and I said, well, where is he? And I said, is he behind the drapes like the Wizard of Oz? And she said, no, she's trying to explain to me how he's everywhere, but you can't see him, but he's there. And it was frustrating to me. But I've learned since that God is everything that's outside here, all together. And it's hard to comprehend. But just what's most important to know is that we're always at home. And when we're outdoors with all the other fruits of the earth and the children of the earth, which the plants and the birds and the trees and the rocks, that we're at home and we're part of the world. And that's what I'd like to share with you today. Oya oya.
And just as the birds collect the fruits of the earth, so do our kids when we collect our manna each week to give to others in our community who need help. So if you have some, hold up your hands. Kid will come find you, and we'll bring them the front to our chuck wagon right up here. Also, if you haven't had a chance to write a joy or sorrow right now, is a good time. You can go to our foyer and pick up a blue or a yellow card and drop it in the basket. Awesome.
Ah. So generous. Everyone is so generous. Thank you. And thank you, kids, for your help in collecting all the generosity around this room.
While we finish that up, let me take a second to remind you of a few things coming up. If you are new here, you have an opportunity to meet our minister next week after service on May 5th. Come meet her and other Chalice members and learn more about this community and faith. And also, today is the last day to sign up for the cabaret. If you have any special talents, whether it's music or comedy or anything, see Anthony. Today's the last day to sign up, right?
Ish, yeah.
Ish?
No.
Stretch it.
No ish. Today's the last day to sign up. Go see Anthony.
Yeah, come see me. When is it? It's in June 15th.
It's the night before our last service in the sanctuary, which is June 16th. So you'll want to make a whole weekend of it. Cabaret on Saturday night, and then the service on the Sunday. Yeah.
And we have Ani to give us another special announcement.
Hello, hello.
Hello.
So I want to personally invite you today to join Reverend Nika and Randall Edwards in a presentation of our proposed Article 2 revisions to the bylaws that will be voted on in GA in June. The presentation will include reflections and sharing about what draws us to Unitarian Universalists. I hope that you'll join us online or in person. We hope everybody stays, get a cup of coffee, and come back. This meeting and next week's meeting, May 5th, will also talk about pros and cons of the revisions. But it's your chance to really engage with this new proposal, because on June 5th, we will have our annual meeting.
June 9th.
Oh, yeah, June 9th. My mom's birthday, June 5th. June 9th. And we're going to do just a straw poll. It won't be an official vote. But we want to get a gauge from our congregation on how they feel about Article 2 and its revisions, so that our 5 delegates going to GA can vote on all of our behalf. And we have space for 5 delegates. So if you would like to attend, the business meetings are free, so to be a delegate doesn't cost you anything. It's just attending the meetings, June 23rd through the 25th, somewhere around in there, that weekend. All online. Yeah, all online this year. So easy peasy. We want to get a diverse representation from the congregation as delegates. So please see me if you would like to be one.
And what is GA for those?
Article 2, you'll learn more all about it. Let me just say that, so that we will engage in the whole thing after service today.
At 11:30 in here. And can I just say, for those
yes.
new here,
Thank
GA is General Assembly and is our annual denominational meeting. That happens once a year.
Thank you. And then I just need to do a real quick push. In News and Notes, there was a call out for volunteers to help us start to prepare Fellowship Hall for our transition from the sanctuary at the end of June into Fellowship Hall in July. And that'll happen May 11th and May 15th from 9 to 1. So if you can be there, svt@chaliceu.org is a way to let us know that we've got enough helping hands to get the jobs done. Thank you.
Thank you, Ani. So now, my friends, let us sing our beautiful children out with the lamp of love. And as we lit our chalice with hope, peace, and love, we also now light this lamp with the same intention, guiding our children into their sacred spaces beyond these walls. Please join us now as we sing together.
May the lamp of light and peace guide you on your way.
May it hold you, may it hold you, may it hold you in our love, may it hold you in our love, each and every day. So in case you're wondering where the offering's gone, it's coming at the end of the service today. We just thought it's better positioned at the end this week. So we are going to share our joys and sorrows now. So of course you know that we gather each week as a beloved community, each bringing with us our own joys and our own concerns, each finding comfort and connection as we reach out to one another. Shane is going to place stones in the sand to symbolize that we are collectively held by our beautiful earth, and we're interconnected here in our time together on this planet. One day we will all return to the dust of the earth, but for now, our planet nurtures and holds us all. So placing our stones in a spiral in the sand symbolizes our ever-evolving journey on this earth. You may write your joys or concerns in the chat box if you're online, or email them to me during the week before the service so that we may honor them here together. And if you're here in person, you have been invited to share either a yellow card for your joys or a blue card for your concerns, which are in the foyer. At the end, we'll sing a brief refrain together to hold those sharing in our love and care. And let's teach those who are new here among us what the words are that we sing each week. The words are simply breathing, breathing with you is my prayer. Because that's what we do together. From the moment we're born to the moment we pass on, we breathe this beautiful, clean air and share it over our time here together. So I invite you now to begin writing your joys in the chat box, and as you write them, I will read them and we will place stones in for you. First of all, a joy from Chuck Fernald. Merlin, Torkel, Randy, Chuck, Tim, and Peter all enjoyed a relaxing and stimulating men's retreat at Camp de Benneville Pines last weekend, and there were 75 men there total. And they had a wonderful time, apparently. So men who want to join next year, you're welcome to speak to Tim. Or do you have another one? Thank you. Danny writes, we are super excited to announce that Katie Smith has started a new job with AJU at the Brandeis Center in Simi Valley. Congratulations, Katie. That's wonderful news. They are so lucky to have you because I know how incredible you are. Katie runs our auction and she's amazing. So they're very lucky to have you. Congrats. And then Barbara and Gordon right there, right? It was a joy to connect and deepen relations with UUs throughout our area this weekend's assembly at the UU Church of Ventura. There were great speakers and uplifting music which provided nurturing inspiration. We're grateful to all those from Chalice who helped and participated in this meaningful experience. And it really was an incredible occasion. And Torkel played music on his beautiful, what is your instrument called? A Swedish key fiddle named Christina. And Torkel played music, and Merlin and Debbie played music, and it was a beautiful occasion with lots of interesting stuff for us to learn as UUs and to gather with UUs, I think from 42 congregations around the area. Or was it 24? Maybe it was 24 congregations all around the area. It was wonderful. And then Michael writes, where are you, Michael? There you are. I saw a nice video of the cow cuddling a chicken. We all need love. No, that's not you. Okay, that's not you. Somebody else. There we go. That Michael over there. There are a number of Michaels in this room. But I'm glad that cheered you up. That's good. And then Ani writes, what a joy to engage in conversations with UUs from all around Southern California regarding Article 2's proposed revisions and be again inspired by Janet James regarding de Benneville Pines. The mountain is calling me again, yes. And for those of you who don't know, Camp de Benneville Pines is our beautiful Unitarian Universalist retreat up in the San Bernardino Mountains. And we go there annually as a congregation at the end of September. So put that in your diary now. It's for all ages and a lot of fun. And then there are other times too where people go for women's retreats and men's retreats and adult camp and children's camp as well. So lots of great things. Come join us. And then Torkel writes, happy sunny Sunday. I can walk on shoes again. Woohoo! Torkel, you've been struggling with your feet and now they're working well, which is important because you love to dance, right? Yes, good. Jill Schlaus writes, thank you to Tom Wolfe and his wife Karen for a fabulous auction event last night, the Murder Mystery Dinner. Great food, costumes, conversation. It was the best. So if you want to partake in that next year, you've got to come to our auction at the end of October, right, Katie? Yes, and Tom? Great. And then the other Michael writes, it is a season of change and decisions for me and growth. I'm so grateful for the help and support I feel around me here. We're glad you're here, Michael, and glad you're receiving the support you need. Let me see if there's anything else online here. Oh, yes, we do have some. Pamela Lopez writes, thanks so much to Tom Wolfe and Karen for the fantastic murder mystery dinner last night. It seems like it was a great success, Tom. And Ani writes, so much gratitude to Torkel, Merlin, and Debbie, and Bill Damerel, who volunteered, performed at the Pacific Southwest Assembly this weekend. And thanks to Barbara and Gordon, too. So we lift up, my friends, so many joys from this community and beyond as we sing together. Breathing, breathing with you, breathing with you is my prayer. And I now invite you to place your sorrows or concerns in the chat box if you're online. And I have one from Michael here. And I believe it's Michael over there, says, some people just don't get it. I'm sorry, Michael. I'm sorry. It sounds rough. And that is true. Some people just don't get it. Anyway, we're glad you're here and can share what's going on for you. And let me see if there are any online. As we wait to see if there are any online, we, of course, all of us collectively hold in our hearts all those who are sick, some in our own community, and those who are homeless or jobless, all those suffering from fear, from hunger, from poverty, or violence of any kind. My friends, may we together envision a world filled with greater peace, safety, understanding, equity, consciousness, and kindness. So we lift up these sorrows and struggles as we sing together. Breathing, breathing with you, breathing with you is my prayer. And I now invite all of you to hold in mind the joys and concerns present in your own hearts and lives. We're going to continue singing, breathing with you with changes in the words along the way, while you either silently honor or you may wish to light a candle if you're at home for whatever stirs in your heart now. And if you're here in person, we invite you to go to one of our sand bowls, either here at the front of the sanctuary or there at the back, to place your stone in the spiral of life. My beloveds, we lift you all up as we sing together. Breathing, breathing with you, breathing with you is my prayer. Seeking, seeking, seeking with you, seeking with you is my prayer. Loving, loving, loving with you, loving with you is my prayer. Hoping, hoping, hoping with you, hoping with you is my prayer. Grieving, in the loving embrace of this congregation. And may that love and compassion ripple out to all who are hurting, both within and beyond this community. May it be so. Blessed be. And amen. My friends, let us now share a time of meditation, reflection, or prayer. I invite you to still your body and mind. You might wish to plant your feet firmly on the ground if it's available to you, and place your hands on your lap, palms open. And if you feel comfortable, you may close your eyes or gently lower your gaze. And I invite you to take a deep breath in and out. I will ring the chime to mark the beginning and end of our silence. And you might, during the silence, wish to reflect on our interdependence with our beautiful earth. And then after our silence, we will sing together to honor our earth. Ancient Mother, I hear you calling. Ancient Mother, I hear your song. Ancient Mother, I feel your laughter. Ancient Mother, I taste your tears. Ancient Mother, I hear you calling. Ancient Mother, I hear your song. Ancient Mother, I feel your laughter. Ancient Mother, I taste your tears. Ancient Mother, I hear you calling. Ancient Mother, I hear your song. Ancient Mother, I feel your laughter. Ancient Mother, I taste your tears. And I'd now like to invite Matthew to come up and share with us. You can be wherever you like, here or walking around, whatever is comfortable for you. Oh. You have to hold it close to your...
Hello.
There we go.
Well, good morning. Good morning. I'm sorry if I'm not a great public speaker, but I do have a lot to say, and sometimes I can't shut up, so feel free to boo when you want me to stop. Presently, I have the honor of serving as chairman of the Barbareño Ventureño Band of Mission Indians, and we're named so because our members descend through and survived the decimation at the Santa Barbara and the San Buenaventura missions. And a lot of our tribal members, including myself, descend from the islands. I'll introduce myself with our language just because that seems to be what, it's good to have an occasion to speak the language. Samtanet masa chichwa, kasila masa, samtanet Matthew Vestuto. Kere Inez Preston, Kokowash Hardin Stanley, Noan Chumash Kasila Lulapin, Noan Kachnuna Swacha Slimu, Ka Noan Kakab Iohai. Greetings, my name is Masa Chichwa. It's difficult to say, so people just call me Masa, and I also go by Matthew Vestuto quite often. And my mother is Inez Preston, and my father is Harding Stanley. He passed away. And it's a traditional greeting. We say it twice. Usually we don't have a microphone, so we say it loud so everybody can hear it. And my family descends from the village of Swacha, which is today called Scorpion's Anchorage, on the island of Limu, which is today called Santa Cruz Island. My great-grandmother was the first islander baptized at San Buenaventura Mission. Before the mission was built, she was named Maria Rosa, and this was around 1769. She was the 33rd person baptized there when the Spanish came. And ever since then, our family has resided here between Talapop, which is Las Virgenes, and Oxnard and Ventura region. And I'm grateful to be here and talk with you. I'm going to focus on the language. I'm here today representing the Lulapin Chumash Foundation. We are the Barbareño Ventureño Band of Mission Indians is a tribal group. We have tribal members. And we are organized under a nonprofit because the federal government has failed to recognize us, along with about 79 or 80 other tribes here in California. So we do business under that nonprofit. However, the Lulapin Chumash Foundation is a Big Tent, Chumash-led nonprofit that is dedicated toward working well with the various bands and unaffiliated individuals and families. And our main mission is to build a healthy community through education and events, ecological stewardship, and economic development. And we are intending to complement the tribal bands whenever one day I will not be on the tribal council, but I'll still be working to help uplift the tribal council and do things that a nonprofit should, which is mainly my teaching of language and building community. And so to discuss a little bit about my trajectory with language and a little brief bio, my mother was a teacher. I grew up here in Woodland Hills, and I hated school. And it showed in my GPA. I graduated with a 1.69 grade average. But the beautiful thing about it was that I did not lose my love for learning. And when I graduated high school, I liked photography. I kept on to that, and I would go to the library and learn more about that, and that led me into learning about art. And then I was really moved by a man named Dwayne Michaels. He was a photographer. And I reached out to him, and I said, I'd like to talk. And he said, okay, but let's not talk about photography. And I said, no problem. It's what you talk about through photography that touches me. And so we had a wonderful years of mentorship. He introduced me to Buddhism. And he said, don't be a Buddhist. Just if you find something useful there, keep it. And don't get involved in the trappings of photography, like the lenses or the darkroom work. Just doesn't matter what medium you use. It's just, what are you saying through it? He said, you're young. You have nothing to teach me about the world. I'm old. I've learned through it. So look, you have an empty bag. Go out in the world and fill that bag full of things that will help you, that you intuit will help you in the future. So and that is just what I needed to hear, is that to follow my intuition. And my intuition told me, don't go to school. He even told me, I said, I don't know what to focus on. I'm interested in too much. And he said, well, then don't go. Don't pay for something if you don't know what it is you want. And so I felt encouraged, contrary to what my mother and father wanted for me. You know. So I went out there and indulged in whatever it was I wanted to learn, and I figured my contemporaries would fill in the gaps, and so I pursued a wide array of things, which I guess in retrospect you'd call the humanities. I was interested in comparative religious studies and literature and art and philosophy and music. And so when in my mid-20s I decided to focus on our native language because I knew it was endangered, or it was considered dead, I said, well, it can't be. We need it. It's too important to a culture. We need our language. And so that set me on a path to talk with linguists that were focusing on our language in grad school. And I asked, can we revitalize our language? And they were real hesitant. And I was frustrated. And finally, through talking with them, linguists are interesting. Sorry, Greg. But they are loath to give you a conclusion unless they can back it up with science and data. So it's painful. It's like pulling teeth to get a conclusion from them. Can we revitalize our language? Yeah, I guess you can. But I learned soon that the hesitance wasn't because of our willingness, or the amount of data available. The hesitance was based on are we really going to dedicate ourselves to it? And I said, well, don't worry about that. And years later, I heard an elder talk once, and they said, well, what about this obstacle and these obstacles to get in your language back? And his answer was, well, we decided to revitalize our language, and so we're doing it. And I thought, yeah, that's the spirit. Who cares about the obstacles? Sure, you're always going to have an obstacle. It's always going to shift because you're always going to be making gains. And that's the spirit, just to be heaven bent on getting the language back. And so to begin with, my work was to gather all the important information we needed because, believe it or not, we're very fortunate. Our language survived, which is rare, but our language survived nearly 200 years after contact. A lot of other tribal languages fell out of use earlier, a lot earlier, because of conquest. But when the Spanish came here, it's kind of a silver lining type of situation. We were centralized at the missions, and at the missions we were exposed to diseases, and we experienced what the anthropologists term 90% genocidal impact, which is a weird kind of way of putting it. 90% of our populace died. Imagine if there's no more McCormicks. The McCormicks are done. These last names of people that will no longer be pulsing through the ages. And so I think because we were so reduced, but also because of the benevolence of the padres at our mission in San Buenaventura, the padres gave Mass in our language. They learned our language. The first writing of our language was a confessionario. It was an instructional from Padre Sagnan on how to give confession in our language. It's a really helpful document for our language revitalization. Once you get past the strange surface questions of, which I won't go into, but, and what's interesting is there was another Padre, Santa Maria, who was early on too. I think it was he who was rebuked by his higher-ups in Mexico City that they said, look, you got to quit giving Mass in their language. And he said, yeah, all right. But he kept doing it anyway. And when the Americans, so what happened was the Spanish were kicked out and the new nation of Mexico was formed in 1821. and they inherited Alta California, and they weren't really imperialistic in nature, so they neglected Alta California. And by the time the Americans came through and gained these lands from the Treaty of Guadalupe Hidalgo, the parish at the broken down mission in Ventura were exclusively Chumash people. Most of the more well-to-do Spanish Catholic people already had moved outside of the city and had their own new Catholic churches. And so they were, I think, still giving our Mass in our language, because we found an 1853 papal bull describing the institution, the official bull regarding Immaculate Conception, written in our language in 1853. And we're trying to track down who wrote this, because why? Well, they must still have been teaching us in our language. And so it wasn't until after the American period, and we were really in the throes of economic survival in the early part of the 1900s, that the children stopped being taught the language. And the first language speakers died in the 1960s. But we are very blessed because a man named John Peabody Harrington, an ethno-linguist, worked recording over 150 different Indian languages for the Smithsonian. But he worked with our tribe more than any other, our language family, because he grew up here. And so we are very fortunate to have over 100 microfilm reels full of information. Each of these reels numbers anywhere from 500 to 1,200 pages. And so I didn't know at the first, when I started reaching out to get we rely on the archival record. So that was my first step, is to go out and get the archival record, everything we'll need to revitalize our language. And so I didn't know how voluminous it was. I was very naive. And in my quest in searching for our stuff, digitization was just coming about. A friend of mine said, "Check this out." I said, "What's that?" She said, "It's a zip disk." I said, "What's a zip disk?" She said, "Well, it holds this much more than the floppy disk." I said, "Well, wow, okay." And she said, "I snuck a bunch of Harrington notes onto it at the museum." I said, "Really?" And the light bulb went on over my head. That's how we're going to get this archive. Because until then, all we could do is get Xerox copies at 10 cents a copy. And of course, we didn't know how voluminous it was, but we could pay $100,000 and get all those, but only have one copy, So thankfully, the digital world grew up as my needs were growing. And in 2013, the Smithsonian Institute finally digitized the entire Harrington collection of handwritten notes, which doesn't just benefit us, but all the other 149 people and languages that he worked with. So that was a wonderful thing. And I didn't know it, but we were the pilot project for that. And they didn't tell me. They just humored me. And so once we get and there's a lot more to the archive, and I've called it the Lulapin Archives, and I've just assembled it all. But mostly I've worked on trying to figure out, how do we get this ink and paper and put it back into the body and blood and breath? That's the task here. And to that end, I've become a board member of Advocates for Indigenous California Language Survival, where I've had the honor of serving all the other languages within California. There's over 100 languages. Of the 300 or so indigenous North American languages, 100 are in what they call California today. And so it's a great diversity and a great concentration of indigenous language work. And I'm also fortunate to know people all the way up and down the West Coast and elsewhere. And I've learned from them, and I've learned from their mistakes, and I've contributed to their mistakes. And we have worked through, coming from a background in construction, if you have the need of a bathroom and you have the money and I can get the materials, I have the skills, and if I have some time, I can do some work. In about a week, you're going to have a brand new bathroom. And I knew I couldn't apply this kind of routine to language revitalization. However, I've always been interested in something solid to stand on. Tell me what to do, just so I can make some gains. And I have to admit, a lot of us have been stabbing around at methods and methodologies, but we have we have settled on a method. And by no means is it the method, is a method. And just in a nutshell, so I don't, how am I on time?
Great. Got 5 more minutes?
Okay. So in a nutshell, how we're doing it is we have learned a lot of audacious stuff that might sound audacious, but we've learned that people don't learn language and then use it. They learn through using language. It's the other way around. That's how we all learned language, by listening to our parents and mimicking them and talking back, and that's how we acquire language. And so that's what we've done. And one thing is we don't have lessons or classes per se, where people then are expected to go home and implement the language. Instead, our classroom is each person's bathroom to start. And we nest the language. We learned a technique from the Maori where they have daycares where they nest the language in the children. We've modified that. What we do is we nest the language in a space in our home that we all share. And we build up our command of the language in that space and kick English out and make the bathroom a Chumash only zone. And then we go to the kitchen or our bedroom. And we try to create spaces where English is no longer allowed. You can speak French, Russian. If you come visit to my kitchen, I'll have to learn Russian and French, but no English. And it's not because it's a bad language, it's because it's dominant, and you can get that anywhere. But we need to make space for our language and times where it's expected to be spoken in order for it to be used. And that's another huge challenge, because in a sense it feels manufactured and it feels unnatural, but that's one of those obstacles where we just need to push through that. And I asked my mentor once, I told my mentor once, I said, self-narrating, brushing your teeth or washing hands all the time, it's kind of weird. And the next day he came back and he said, you said it was kind of strange. He goes, it is, but think of it as an opportunity to speak your language. And I'm like, okay, I'll think about that. And sure enough, like every day I can go into my shower and wash my body, and I have it laminated and then Velcroed to the thing, the whole list of all body parts, and I can recite what I'm doing at the time. I'm washing my hair, I'm washing my feet, and brushing my teeth, and everything we do in the bathroom I've worked out, and I share that with my fellow learners. And I don't call them students, although maybe they are. I just started earlier than them, and I'm handing on to them the challenges that they'll have in the future that, and they'll further the whole task. And so that's what we do. We build a language nest, and I have a home where I'm turning it into a language home. And we also do conversation. And we're just building up our command of it, and we also further our linguistic work, because there's deep sentence structure that we need to make gains on. The curriculum is not written yet. We've left all this curriculum like I'm telling you. And the beautiful thing is you don't need to set time aside to speak the language. You don't need to make time to speak your language, because you just do it when you're washing your hands. You do it when you're brushing your teeth. You do it when you're making oatmeal or frying an egg or making toast or cereal. You do it when you're watering the garden. You do it when you're putting your clothes on. I have it all up, and I leave it up, even though if you spend a week on one of these, what we call domains, 8 sentences about washing your hands, you spend a week on that and you re-embody it, and you own it, you have it, and it's back into breath. And that's how we turn the archival record into spoken language and used language. And at one point I thought, there might be light at the end of the tunnel. It's all very a lot of doubt, a lot of questions. And I thought, well, even if I don't become fluent, the future won't have to do what I did in gathering up the information and figuring out things. And then, but if we even think harder and think positive, then we get better metaphors, like the metaphor of an hourglass that has nothing to do with time, but more just the shape. I think of all that existed in the past, that boiled down to this dark time where we're reliant on this smaller archival record, of there's obviously less than what existed before. But we have this valuable record. And we come to a time when the language went to sleep, and then the language is being woken up and reused. And then it dawned on me, we need to create new words, like our word for refrigerator is a word of a thing that makes warm things cool. And we do it in our way of making words. Saktaha is a word for getting out from under the shade of the sun, cooling down under the shade of a tree. And so we call the refrigerator Saktaha, the thing that makes warm things cool. And so that we're going to make these new words. And so we're going to expand on what we've inherited, and it's just going to blossom out like the bottom of an hourglass, or the top, however way you want to look at it. It's an open metaphor. And we're going to blossom into more accessible spoken language for the future. And so it's very heartening. And that's the work that we're involved in for the language. And I think that's about good timing.
Thank you.
On my part.
Fantastic timing, and I just wanted, Matthew gifted this to us, and I just wanted you to say a few words about the sage.
Well, this is white sage. This is white sage. It's used all across Indian country. Comes from here and elsewhere, but we cleanse with smoke, much like the churches do with their incense and stuff from Eastern Europe and elsewhere. And we also cleanse, believe it or not, we use what they call coastal sage, which is not a sage, it's an artemisia. We call it wawait. And it's frilly and real beautiful. We wrap bundles of that and we use it in water, and we smudge that way with water. That's a more traditional way, and it has nothing to do with Catholicism. It's something that existed before, so cleansing with water, cleansing with smoke, it's something that unites us all.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Well.
And thank you for your important work.
But you just did that whole thing without looking at your notes once.
That's right.
Thank you for sharing your story. And thank you for sharing the story about your foundation, the Lulapin Foundation. We're lucky that that's our special collection today. It is a Chumash-led nonprofit serving the various tribal bands as well as unaffiliated Chumash individuals and families. And they're dedicated to building an empowered and healthy community through education, events, economic development, and ecological stewardship. Thank you for sharing your story. And we are lucky that we will now be doing our special offering. As we pass this offering plate around, please, we thank you for your generosity and enjoy this music.
And if you write a check, please put in the memo Lulapin Foundation, and otherwise you can also give electronically.
Anthony, no.
We need the mics on over
Hello.
here. Yeah.
The wisdom of the great Chief Seattle reminds us all things are connected. Whatever befalls the children of the earth, whatever befalls the earth befalls the children of the earth.
All things share the same breath. The beast, the tree, the man. The air shares its spirit with all the life it supports.
We did not weave the web of life, we are merely a strand in it. Whatever we do to the web, we do to ourselves. This we know. All things are connected. All everything share the same breath. All things are connected. The earth shares its spirit with all Lord. All things are connected. Just like the blood which unites us
earth well. It was not given to you by your parents. It was loaned to you by your children. We do not inherit the earth from our ancestors. We borrow it from our children.
Thank you all for your generosity to the Lulapin Foundation. Please join me now with gratitude with the words on the screen. We give thanks for the gifts and the givers, and we ask that we may use this offering wisely and well. May these gifts help us nurture spiritually courageous people who transform the world through justice and compassion. Blessed be. Thank you. So, my friends, thank you for your generosity. Thank you, Matthew, for sharing the important work that you're doing. It's really moving to have you here with us, and I hope we can continue our connection. It's really important to us. And I invite us now to rise in body or spirit for our closing song, remembering that collectively we can turn the world around.
We come
From the fire,
living
in the fire, go back to the fire, turn the world around. We come from the water, living in the water, go back to the water, turn the world around. We come from the mountain, living on the mountain, go back to the mountain, turn the world around. Oh, so is life. Oh, so is life. Oh, so is life. Oh, so is life. Do you know who I am? Do I know who you are? See we one another clearly. Do we know who we are? Do you know who I am? See one another, do you are? See we one another clearly. See we one another clearly. Do you know who we are? Oh, so is life. You are. So is life. Oh, so is life. What you are. So is life. Water makes the river, river wash the mountain. Fire makes the sunlight turn the world around. Waters of the river, body is the mountain. Spirit is the sunlight, turn the world around. We are of the Spirit, truly of the Spirit. Only can the Spirit turn the world around. Oh, so is life. What you are. So is life. Oh, and touch elbows if you feel comfortable. And Matthew, would you like to share a closing with us?
Yes.
Let's give him the mic. Come on up here so we... Yes, please. Otherwise they can't hear you online.
Okay.
Yep. Thank you.
Nelu, nelu peke kapa sowo, kapa sowo. Nelu, nelu peke kapa sowo, kapa sowo. Hamu, hamu iti ata plish, ata plish. Nelu, nelu peke kapa sowo, kapa sowo. Nelu, nelu peke kapa sowo, kapa sowo. Hamu, hamu iti kasluna, kasluna. Hamu, hamu iti askulyul, askulyulul. Nelu, nelu peke kapa sowo, kapa sowo. Nelu, nelu peke kapa sowo, kapa sowo. Chakwin, chakwin, ka chakwin.
Thank you so much. Now join us, please, now in extinguishing our chalices with the words on the screen. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again. My friends, my beloveds, go in peace. Go with love overflowing and know that your loving heart makes a difference on this earth. And go remembering how we are all interconnected and interdependent. May it be so.